Your coaching session is about to begin. The players are ready, but are you prepared? Will the session be effective? Will it run efficiently? We look at the importance of session planning.
Left hand.
A simple whistle. We see how it can bring order to your day in just 5 seconds. Maximum player involvement, effective use of space. The training grid, it's your recipe for success. Instruction technique.
What you're going to be doing is sweeping the ball left and right.
How it should be done and the things to avoid. The warm-up. We look at simple but effective pulse raisers and the all-important stretching routines. Plus, the skills of the game. How it should be done and the drills to help you get there.
I remember when I was younger how much fun I had at Camogie training, and this is something I often think about before beginning a coaching session. It's so important for a group to go away feeling that they have enjoyed themselves, because this is one of the main reasons for them returning to the next session. And so, as coaches, it is important for us to take the time and the trouble to make training as safe and enjoyable and, of course, as worthwhile as we can. You know, being a coach is more than just passing on the skills of the game. We need to motivate everybody, be enthusiastic, decisive, show leadership, be approachable, yes, even after a tough day. And a sense of humour is an absolute must. Of course, the ability to organise is also very important, and I'll be giving you some pointers shortly on how to set up a successful training session. But first, let's take a look at something that I never go to training without. It's the session planner.
The session planner is a blueprint of how a training session should run, and it helps maintain good time management. You'll find an example of this in your logbook. Headings are set out as a guide to help you complete the planner. Your objectives should be clearly listed. That way you can refer to them as you go along, and at the end of training, check to see if you've achieved what you set out to do. In other words, evaluate your own performance. You should also identify the content or key phases of your session. Some or all of these headings may be included, depending on the ability of the group you're working with. Identify what you want to cover under the activity heading. Let's look at the solo skill drill. Break the activity down into its main elements and then clearly note these. Once you write them down, they won't be forgotten. All key points relating to each activity should be clearly listed. This will help you remember and focus on the purpose and objective of each routine as it happens. Remember, a little time spent on planning will save you many a headache on the training field, so use your session planner. Lynn arrives at training with a clear plan of how the session will run. Half the work is already done because she's well prepared.
So I'd like you all please to get a partner.
Now she needs to put her plan into action.
Right. All the A's.
Developing a regular routine for the start of practice is very important, and sessions will get underway quicker as players become familiar with the setup.
In between the goalposts here, in between the cones, and B, the partners go to the opposite side. I want you striking the ball on the ground and from the hands. All right, off we go, line up.
A light puck around is usually a good way to get rid of the cobwebs, and it's also a useful icebreaker. Remember, this shouldn't be a strenuous routine. It should just be enough to loosen the players up and get everyone moving around before they begin their warm-up. Using a simple signal like blowing a whistle is an effective way to get the players' attention. In this case, the group has been instructed to gather around the coach in a semicircle or horseshoe formation when they hear the whistle. This is referred to as the 5-second rule.
And the importance of this is that every time I blow the whistle, you've got 5 seconds to collect up the slitters and whatever and bring yourselves in to me.
The purpose is to get the players into the habit of responding quickly to the whistle and a predetermined instruction.
But the next time I blow the whistle, I'd like you to collect up the slitters plus all the cones that you see outside here on the park. So bring them all into me, and again then, when you've them all collected for me, I want you to line up in a horseshoe shape here.
This is particularly useful when working with young players. Give them the chance to practice until they get comfortable with what you want them to do, and be strict about implementing the rule. Once they become familiar with the idea, they'll quickly respond to the whistle. Your training session will run more smoothly and you'll save valuable time. Training grids have proven to be an effective and efficient teaching aid. They allow for one or more activity to happen at once, ensure maximum involvement of all the players and optimum use of available space. Setting grid boundaries also helps confine groups to specific areas. You'll find this very useful when working with younger players. There are many ways to set up a grid, and a lot depends on the ability of your group and of course the space you're working in. This is just one example which is easily adapted for many uses. Cones are set out at a distance of 10 to 15 metres. You then just add more squares to cater for larger numbers. Line and square drills for small groups are just some of the routines you can organise within this framework. If you need a larger area, then extend the size of the squares to 20 to 30 metres. This is easily done by removing the middle cones. Now this bigger space is ideal for large group drills and combination drills. For small-sided and condition games, the removal of the centre cones will extend the grid length to 30 to 45 metres. Then, with the addition of simple goals at either end, you very quickly have an area suitable for this routine. Finally, when you remove the 6 centre cones, you'll have enough space to organise close to a full-size game. This is just one example of a training grid. You may use a different setup. Available space and the ability of your players will influence the type of grid you use. But whatever the setup, remember, it has to be easily adapted for many uses. It's also important to set out the grid before the group arrive. Otherwise, valuable coaching time will be lost. Younger players lose their concentration quickly, and you need to keep momentum going to ensure the success of the session. The success of a training session rests with you, the coach. Making the session enjoyable is a must. Keeping the group interested is essential, and getting the message across is what it's all about. Here are some pointers to improve your instruction technique.
And now everyone form a semicircle for me.
Grouping the players in a semicircle is the best way. Make sure everyone can see clearly and the group is close to you. This means you don't have to raise your voice and the girls know what's going on. It's amazing just how often this happens. The group is dazzled, and it's not by what you're saying. You look like Darth Vader.
Time at the end, we'll move on.
I think they're trying to tell you something. Well, you're fighting a losing battle here. Be aware of what's going on around you. If you're not, the players certainly will be. It's a radio today, but it could be anything. Noisy traffic or children playing close by. Check it out before you start and move somewhere quieter.
Said I'd like you to do it from the hip. So can you try it again there? Pass the ball back.
Young players will benefit more if you keep it simple, brief, avoid using sarcasm and encourage them whenever you can.
Much better. Well done. That's it. obviously,
What's going on here?
what is this all about?
Oh, very gallant. But it's not helping your coaching session. Avoid distractions at all costs. The coach needs to be the focus of attention. Oh dear, he's lost his heart, but you'll be heartbroken unless you deal with distractions as quickly as possible.
Okay, left leg forward. Turn the hurley over to the right. Before you start into a heavy training session, it's absolutely vital that you get your team to do a thorough warm-up and some stretches. The warm-up helps reduce the risk of injury. It literally warms the muscles, gets the blood pumping, and prepares the joints. It also gets your team into the right frame of mind for the work ahead.
There are 3 components to our warm-up. First, introduce an activity to increase the player's heart rate. This is immediately followed by some stretching exercises, and to finish, a second pulse raiser. Following a warm-up like this, you can be confident that the players are ready for the more strenuous training activities ahead.
Good. Keep the spaces, girls.
Pulse raisers can be anything from simple routines using the hurley and slitter to gentle jogging exercises. The important thing is to raise the players' heart rates to about 65% of their maximum rate.
Keep your 2 hands on the hurley as you're doing this exercise.
A simple formula is used to estimate this. Maximum heart rate equals 65% of 220 minus the age of the player. Let's take a 16-year-old as an example. Her maximum heart rate is 220 minus her age, 16, giving a figure of 204 beats per minute, and 65% of this is 132 beats per minute.
All right, girls, let's bring it in and we'll check our heart rates. Okay, I'd like you all to keep moving. Now, using your right hand, take the first 2 fingers to the right-hand side of your neck, just under the angle of your jawbone. Okay, now when I ask you to, I want you to start counting.
It's more convenient to work with pulse takes of 10 seconds duration. Otherwise, the players' pulse rates will decrease while the readings are being taken. So for the 16-year-old, she should exercise until her pulse rate reaches 13 beats over a 10-second pulse take. Remember to verify that everyone has reached their target rate.
Okay, stop counting. All right, let's do some stretches. Right,
The second essential component of our warm-up are the stretching exercises. These should always follow directly after a pulse raiser and should include leg, back and shoulder stretches.
And we're going to move into the calf stretch. So can you stand with your feet shoulder width apart? Okay, now everyone take a large step back with your left leg. Well done. Place your hands on the right thigh. That's it. Lean forward into your right knee. Well done. Now make sure at this point that both feet are pointing in the same direction. And push your left heel back into the ground. We'll hold this for 10 seconds.
When in a class situation, it's helpful to demonstrate the exercises individually for both legs and from different angles.
Okay, and relax. Okay, our next stretch is for the rear thigh. So standing again, feet shoulder width apart, and take a step forward with your left leg. Sit back into your right leg, placing your hands on the right thigh. Again, both feet in the same direction. And hold. The stretch now you should feel behind the left knee. All right, and relax. Okay, our next stretch is for the front of the thigh. We're going to need our hurleys for this, so pick up your hurleys once again into the left hand for balance. Using your right hand, catch the boot laces of your left foot. Make sure you're holding the laces and not the toe of your boot. Bend the supporting knee slightly. Bring the knees in close together and hold. Now, to really feel the stretch, I'd like you to push your hips forward. You should feel the stretch now up along the front of the thigh. Hold it there nice and steady. And relax.
Leg stretches must of course be done on both sides during training.
Right, we don't need the hurleys for the next one now. It's the stretching of our backs. So standing comfortably with your feet just slightly wider than shoulder width. Place the hands on the thighs with the fingers pointing inwards. Squat down. Bring the head forward and push up through the back. Feel the stretch up along your back. Okay. Now, to further extend this stretch, bring your elbows in forward and hold. Okay, and relax. And now for the final stretch, it's for our shoulders. I'd like you to stand comfortably, bring your hands up over your head, palms together, interlock your fingers, then turn the palms towards the sky and push up. Hold it there, nice and steady. That's it, well done. And relax. All right, girls, we'll move on now to our next pulse raiser. What I want you to do is to use the whole grid here in front of us, jogging around into spaces. When I call out change, you change direction. And if you hear the whistle, I want you to go from a jog to a sprint. Next whistle, then you'll reduce from your sprint back to the jog. Okay, off you go. Use the whole grid now, girls.
Muscle temperature and blood flow have now increased, so the second pulse raiser can be a little more strenuous than the first.
Change. Now, girls, when you hear the whistle, I want you to pick up the pace. Move into a full sprint. Okay, speed it up quickly. React to the whistle. Change. Change direction quickly and still sprinting. Well done.
The players are now more alert, the risk of injury has been reduced, and the more physically demanding routines of the next stage of training can be approached with confidence.
Back to a jog, nice and easy, using all the grid. Okay, can you take over for me? At the end of a training session, it's important to get the players to cool down by gradually reducing the intensity of the session. Simply, this means getting the players to slow down from a run to a jog to a brisk walk. For the next part of the cooling down session, we use the same stretches as before, as we're doing here. Only this time, we hold the stretches for 30 seconds rather than 10 seconds. Don't forget to keep an eye on the players and correct any errors. All right, girls, now we'll move on to stretch the thigh muscles.
Camogie is a game that comprises many different skills. Technique, speed, strength, coordination, accuracy and ability are just some of the many attributes which can transform good players into great players.
Nice little turn. Giving it inside. Here comes Veronica Curtin, and there comes a point.
We're all born with different levels of potential for taking part in sport. To reach our full potential in Camogie, as in other sports, means repeated practice of the skills of the game.
Sharon Glenn launching another one of these missiles.
The grip is the cornerstone on which most Camogie skills are built. It's essential to hold the hurley correctly. If this basic skill is not executed properly, then other skills will suffer. The dominant or stronger hand grips the hurley at the top of the handle as if shaking hands. The thumb touches the index finger, and the grip is firm but flexible, as it controls the movement of the hurley. Next we move to the ready position. The right hand grip remains the same, but the hurley rests in the weaker hand with the toe towards the body. The left hand is free to move up and down the handle, and the feet are comfortably apart. This ensures good body balance. To strike the ball, the grip changes to the lock position. This is done by simply moving the left hand to lock with the right. To adopt the lifting position, open the weaker hand with fingers splayed apart. Use the thumb of the stronger hand to turn the hurley, so the toe is facing away from the body. Both thumbs are now pointing towards the boss, and the lift can be executed. Players should be encouraged to revise and practice these grip positions as often as possible. When you feel they're ready, you can then introduce the key factors of the swing. First, adopt the ready position with the feet comfortably apart. The weaker hand is free to move up and down the handle of the hurley. Next, slide the weaker hand into the lock position. Bend the elbows to raise the hurley and slightly bend the knees. With the eyes fixed on the ball, swing the hurley using a wristy action in the shape of the letter C. At the same time, transfer body weight from the right to the left leg as the swing is completed. Let's just look at that once again. Adopt the ready position with the feet comfortably apart. Slide the weaker hand into the lock position. Bend the elbows to raise the hurley and slightly bend the knees. With the eyes fixed on the ball, swing the hurley using a wristy action in the shape of the letter C. At the same time, transfer body weight from the right to the left leg. Once the skill has been demonstrated, encourage the players to put into practice what they've seen. At foundation level, the player's skills will be quite limited, so be prepared for technique errors to crop up regularly.
All right, Aoife, you're right-handed?
Yeah.
Okay, well then, would you swap your grip for me, please, and put your right hand at the top of the hurley? Well done. Now slide your hands down into lock position. That's it, and strike for me. Well done. Again, back into ready position and strike again. That's it. Always remember that it's your dominant hand stays at the top of the hurley. Well done.
Remember the key factors when looking out for errors. You will come across players who have difficulties with more than one aspect of a particular skill. This is where you need to assess if the individual can work on correcting just one or more of the problems at the same time.
Okay, Sam, can you hold it there a minute? Yeah. Right, okay, you've got your grip right and you're beginning the swing very well, but there's one thing you're not doing is you're not finishing off your swing. What's very important to remember is when you slide your hands into lock position, bring your target leg out in front. It's not enough just to swing through there and finish your swing. You must in fact follow through with your swing all the way around. So if you watch closely, you step out with your target leg, lock position, and sweep right around and follow through. So let me see you try that. Step out and follow through. Well done. And again, step out and follow through. That's excellent. And again. That's it. Well done. Much better. All right, Sarah, yeah, let me see what you're doing again. Okay, right, Sarah, can you just hold it a minute? Now, your swing and your grip are excellent. There's no problem there. But I'm afraid it's your feet position that I'm worried about. You've got to realise that when you are swinging, perhaps from left to right, that it's your leg nearest to the target. Your target leg must be out in front. So in fact, your body weight will be moving across your body onto the leg that's out in front. So can I just see you try that? That's it, swinging onto the target leg. And again, yeah, very good. Can I see it again? Well done. That's it, well done. Always remember that your target leg is out in front and you're swinging towards it. Well done.
When you feel the players are ready, introduce a drill to practice the swing while on the run. Line the players up in 2 rows, one behind the other. On the first whistle, the players in row 1 jog across the field while practicing the swing on both sides. On the second whistle, row 2 follows, repeating the action. When the players reach the cones on the far side, they turn, and on the whistle, jog back to the start and repeat the exercise once more. Playing the ball on the ground is the foundation on which good players are made, and when the skill is mastered, they are well on the way to being proficient performers. Many hours of supervised practice are necessary before young players master the techniques involved, so it's important to include ground camogie as a regular part of training. Players find it a natural progression to move from the swing to the ground strike because many of the key elements are common to both. We'll look at the strike from the dominant side first. The ball is placed in front of the leading or target foot. Next, slide the weaker hand into the lock position. Bend the elbows to raise the hurley and slightly bend the knees. Remember to keep the eyes fixed on the ball At this point, some players find it easier to step towards the ball. Next, swing the hurley using a wristy action in the shape of the letter C, remembering to transfer body weight from the right to the left leg. When striking from the weaker side, the ball is placed in front of the leading foot as before. The essential difference when striking from the weaker side is that the hurley is raised above the weaker shoulder. The swing is executed in the same way, using a wristy action in the shape of the letter C, and body weight is transferred as the swing is executed.
Alright girls, we're going to do some ground hurling now, and there's a few pointers that we must remember before we go out. Firstly, I want your stance to be comfortable over the ball. Try to have the ball just slightly to your left when striking from right to left. Once you've that established, get your shoulders on target, then bring your hands into the lock position, raise your elbows, and then as you swing in a full swing, I want you transferring your weight from right through to left as you swing. So you're transferring your weight, and at all times have your shoulder on target for where you want the ball to go. Alright? So off you go now, back to your stations, let's see how you get on.
Start with a simple drill at first to practice the ground strike. Here, the players concentrate on delivering a good, accurate shot over a short distance to their partners. As they progress, the distance can be extended in line with their ability.
Alright girls, well we've now been striking the ball from a stationary position, so we're now going to progress onto striking the ball on the run. So we're going to follow this course here that we've laid out. What I want you doing is striking the ball through the set of cones here onto the next, run after it, and as you get down to it I want you striking it as you're continuing to run, and take the ball one shot down, over across, back again, and so on through the course. Again, the most important thing here is striking the ball as you're running, okay? So can you line up now and we'll just see how you go through that course. Okay, off you go, begin. That's it. Now continue running, the next girl line up. Keep it going on the run. Well done.
If you wish, you can further increase the level of difficulty to include striking a moving ball.
Off you go. Well done, much better.
Dribbling allows players to move the ball along the ground in a controlled way. It's rarely used in match situations, but it can be helpful for younger players to encourage them to use their wrists for ball control. Ball control is the essence of dribbling, and that's best achieved by placing the weaker hand down the waist of the hurley. Then, using both sides of the hurley, move the ball along the ground at a comfortable distance, using a series of fast, gentle taps and pushes. The ability to lift the ball correctly and at speed is important, and this is done by using the roll or jab lift. The type of lift used is determined by the circumstances of the game. In play, the jab lift is used more often because it can be executed while running.
Going for their second point, and that's straight over the bar.
The roll lift is also used in open play, though less frequently because time is lost rolling the ball back onto the boss. It's most effective when the player is stationary, and some favour its use for free taking, though this is dependent on playing conditions.
3 points for Cork from the stick of Lyndon Lee.
The roll lift is demonstrated here by a left-handed player, so in this case it's important to position the right foot beside the ball. The player starts in the lifting position with the thumb of the dominant hand at the top of the hurley and the weaker hand close to the middle. The player is bent forward with the hurley parallel to the ground. The ball is then rolled quickly onto the boss and tapped into the cupped right hand. For the roll lift drill, our players are grouped in pairs. Each girl attempts to roll lift the ball 5 times before alternating with her partner. Encourage the players to practice the skill slowly at first, so the key factors can be executed correctly.
Okay, hold it there, can you? Right. What you're doing here is you've got your 2 hands beside each other when picking up the ball. But for the correct lifting position, you must bring your weaker hand down, 3/4 ways down the hurley, and of course have your thumbs on top, pointing down towards the boss. That's much better, well done. You've way more control of the hurley. Okay, well done.
In a game situation, the more frequently used lift is the jab lift. When the ball is some yards ahead, it can be approached in a sprint, so the lift is executed without losing valuable speed. To demonstrate this skill, the player jogs towards the ball. On arrival, the left foot should be beside the ball. As with the roll lift, the dominant hand grips the top of the hurley and the weaker hand is positioned close to the middle. The player bends forward, jabs the hurley under the ball and scoops it upwards. The left hand is cupped to catch the ball. The grid setup we use here is very effective for the jab lift drill. 3 circles of cones are set out to accommodate 12 players. They run in a clockwise direction, jab lifting the ball at the first cone and placing it at the next cone for the following player. On the whistle, they change direction and continue the drill in the same way.
Keep it going. When you're satisfied that the players have perfected the skills of roll lifting and jab lifting, you can take them through this routine here, which combines both skills. So I'll just take you through it, Mary. Running on to the centre cone and roll pick the ball. Throw the ball ahead and jab lift it at the next cone. Around the cone, throwing the ball back again to centre cone, where you roll lift it once again and place it for the next player. Well done, keep your eye on the ball.
The solo run is frequently used in match situations, either to evade a tackle or to penetrate the defence.
Lovely play by Veronica, and that is a great point.
The solo run is executed in 2 ways, by carrying the ball on the hurley or by hopping the ball. It can also be performed using one hand with the option of adopting a shortened grip. These can be difficult skills for young players to master. Depending on their skill level, they may first need to do the solo either standing still or at walking pace, progressing to a run as they become familiar with the techniques. The key factors are the same whether the ball is carried or hopped. The weaker hand is placed on the middle of the hurley, with the thumbs along the handle. The ball can now be hopped or balanced on the boss. It's also essential to keep the eyes on the ball. This drill setup can be used to practice either the solo carry or the solo bounce. The grid is very simple. 2 cones are placed in front of each line of players, separated at a distance appropriate to their ability. Our group is capable of jogging between the cones. However, other groups may need to do this drill at walking pace, building up to a jog and later to a faster run as they improve. Remember to modify your drills according to the ability of your group.
Now we're going to take a look at some of the common errors that we find with solo running. Now I've set up this exercise here to identify some of the problems. Okay girls, remember to keep your eyes on the ball. Okay, can you hold up the ball there for a moment please? Right, Diane, what you're doing wrong here is you've got both hands very close together on the shaft of the hurley. Therefore you haven't got very much room or flexibility. So instead bring your dominant hand further back the hurley, thumbs pointing down at all times, and let's see how you get on. Okay, that's much better. It should feel much more comfortable as well. Well done, that's it. That's it. Keep your concentration. Eyes on the ball. Okay, Siobhan, just pick up the sliotar there for me for a moment. Okay, the problem here is that you've got the hurley too far away from your body and you've absolutely no control on it. It's important that you bring it back in, elbows bent, and have it close to the body so that you're a hand reach from the boss. So can you try it for me? Keeping the hurley to your side almost and shorten the grip ever so slightly. Much better. Again, this should feel more comfortable. You'll know when you're doing it right. That's it. Well done.
Accurate hand passing plays a vital part in camogie, both as a means of retaining possession and creating scoring opportunities.
And it gives possession to Angela Downey-Brown. Back to Sinead. And that is gone over the bar.
There are two techniques used to hand pass the ball. The first involves catching and passing the ball using the same hand. The second and more difficult technique involves catching the ball with the left hand and transferring it to the other hand to execute the pass. First, let's take a look at the catch and pass using the same hand. The player has the sliotar in the weaker hand, close to the hip. Next, it's tossed upwards and struck at waist height with a quick underarm action using the palm of the hand. Catching the sliotar in the weaker hand and passing it with the other hand takes a little more practice. The player starts with the sliotar in the weaker hand. Next, it's tossed onto the boss of the hurley and tapped into the other hand to execute the pass. As the sliotar is tossed onto the boss, the weaker hand also grips the hurley. The stronger hand is now free to execute the pass. Remember to strike the sliotar at waist height using a quick underarm action.
Right, we're going to demonstrate a drill to help the girls perfect their technique. But just a few points to remember. Always ensure that the girls are hand passing from the hip and that they strike the ball with their palm. Also, watch their accuracy. Okay girls, back to your stations.
This is a simple but effective drill to practice the hand pass. Two rows of players line up opposite each other at a distance suitable to their ability. Our group is placed quite close together to encourage accurate passing of the sliotar. As we've said before, once the level of skill improves, the distance between the group should be extended.
What you're doing here now is you're actually, when you're hand passing the ball, you're using your fingertips. Instead, what you're going to have to do is use the palm of your hand. So can you try and do that for me? Let's see you do that. Okay. That's it. Even again now, try and get more of a palm involved. That's it. It's important when you're striking it to use the palm of the hand rather than the fingers. Well done. Yeah. Make sure they're accurate. All right, girls, can you just hold it there for a moment, please? Okay, I'd like you to try and hand pass it rather, because you're left-handed now, you're hand passing it with your right hand, but you seem to be doing that in front of your body. Instead, I'd like you to do it from the hip. So can you try it again there? Pass the ball back. Yeah, give it a go there. That's it, much better. And can you put your right leg out, or left leg out just slightly to give yourself more balance? That's it. Try it again. Much better. Well done. That's it. Okay, girls, can you hold it up there for a moment? All right, what you're doing here when you're hand passing it, the hand pass itself is correct, but your accuracy is a little off. So what I'd like you to do is try and concentrate on hand passing it towards your player, for an advantage ball for her, not for her having to grab and reach for it. So instead, try and control the shot. Concentrate on it as you pass it and give it an advantage ball to your partner. So try that there for me. Okay, much better. Well done.
Many players judge their success at camogie by how far they can hit the sliotar from the hand. It's perhaps the most frequently used skill in the game, and it's the most effective way to get distance and accuracy. Striking from the hand allows for fast delivery during the game and is also more accurate than the ground strike, especially for scoring points and goals. This is a skill that needs lots of practice, however, because as well as getting distance, it's essential that the strike is also accurate. To achieve this requires both power and good technique. When striking from the dominant side, right-handed players should hold the slitter in the left hand with the left shoulder pointed towards the target. The hurley is held upright in front of the right shoulder. Next, toss the slitter in front of the left shoulder and strike at about knee height towards the target, remembering to follow through.
Right, before we begin the drill, I just want to remind you of a few of the key factors when striking the ball from the hand. Firstly, get your stance correct and get your shoulders on target. Next, make sure that you're holding the ball cupped in your left hand with the hurley upright outside your right shoulder. You then throw the ball to a point outside your left shoulder, bring your hands into the lock position and then strike through the ball, connecting with it just outside your left knee. Remember to transfer your weight from your right across your body to your left just as you hit the ball, and as well as that, with your swing, make sure you maintain the follow through of your swing to improve your accuracy. Okay, so off you go now, out to your stations. That's it again. You're still hitting it rather high.
For this drill, the player should aim to strike the slitter between the cones in the centre of the two groups. This should be actively encouraged because it helps to improve the accuracy of the pass. It's also important that both lines are suitably separated to encourage the practice of striking the slitter over a long distance. As the players improve their technique, accuracy and distance will also improve, but it is necessary to introduce and emphasize the importance of practicing these two factors at an early stage. Developing the ability to strike from both sides is important. While striking from the weaker side is slightly less powerful, it does increase a player's options during a match. Weak side striking is also more accurate and difficult to hook. When striking from the weak side, the ball is tossed underneath the hurley and diagonally across the body. The right shoulder points towards the target, and the ball is struck at about knee height as before.
Okay girls, now we're going to take a look at how to strike the ball from left to right out of the hand. Most importantly, you must bring your hurley across your body in line with your left shoulder and throw the ball up from underneath the hurley to a point outside your right shoulder. You will then put your hands into the lock position and strike through the ball, connecting with it just outside your right knee. Of course, as always, remember that before you strike, your stance must be correct and your shoulders on target. So back to your stations now, and let's try that. Now we're going to take a look at some of the more common errors that you encounter when teaching this drill. So let's take a look at Diane here. All right, Diane, off you go. Okay, can you do that for me again? Yeah. Okay, hold it there. Now, straight away, your swing, everything, there is no problem there, but the problem is with your stance. What you've got to remember is that when you're following through with the swing, you must always have your front leg coming out in front for balance and have your weight transferring from the back leg onto the front leg. So try that for me again now. Just remembering that you fall onto your front leg as you strike the ball. That's it. Try it again. Much better. Just remember. Okay, well done. Keep that up now. Well done. Okay, now let's move on to Sarah. Can I just see how you get on there, Sarah, striking the ball? Okay, try it once more. Okay, the problem we can see here is that she's not throwing the ball up high enough, giving herself time to swing on the ball. So this time I'd like you to take more time, throw more height into the ball, giving yourself more time to take a swing. Much better, well done. Try it again. Remember to throw the ball up. That's it, excellent, well done. Right, now we've Derval her. Let's see how she gets on. Okay, try another one for me. All right, can you take another shot for me, please? Okay, the problem here is with her continuance of swinging. It's very important for Derval that when she connects with the ball, that she continues her swing on, follow through motion, and this will help for greater accuracy and direction. Okay, much better. And again. Well done, much better. And now finally we have Kira. Kira is demonstrating for us the striking of the ball from left to right. Okay, can you try another one for me? Okay, the problem here is very common and it really has to be highlighted. It's so important for the striker when going from left to right to first of all bring their hurley up along across their body and throw the slitter from underneath the hurley, getting the correct striking action. So can I see you do that, Kira? Bring your hurley up across your body first, then throw from underneath. That's it, well done. Can you do another one for me? Okay, that's it.
There are many ways of contesting a high ball in Camogie, but catching the ball is the most effective way to gain possession.
Available was Valerie Hines, Jenny Branagh, Niamh Harkin licking it inside towards centre half forward, Therese Brophy, Deirdre Hughes getting away from one marker, and the finish quite superb.
There are 3 catching methods used in Camogie: the low catch, the chest catch, and the overhead catch. Here the player uses her hurley to shield the catching hand when a ball is overhead. In this case, the hurley is behind the catching hand to defend against an opponent approaching from the rear. To execute the overhead catch correctly, it's essential that the player is in line with the oncoming slitter. Using the dominant hand, the hurley is raised above the head to protect the catching hand. The catching hand is positioned in front of the hurley. The open cupped hand should be facing the oncoming slitter. The player's catching arm should now be relaxed, allowing it to move back or give with the momentum of the ball. When a slitter arrives at a lower trajectory, the player can use either the chest catch or the low catch to gain possession. To make the chest catch, the player moves in line with the oncoming slitter. She then relaxes and cups the catching hand into her body. The palm of the hand should be facing upwards to receive the slitter. Catching a low slitter can be a little more difficult. As before, the player must be in line with the oncoming slitter. She then places a relaxed hand in the path of the slitter. Her hand should be cupped with the fingers pointing downwards. She then catches by allowing the ball to fall into the fingers. This simple drill can be used for any of the catching skills. However, it is important that the ball is delivered correctly for the particular catch being practiced. If you're working on the overhead catch, then the delivery of an accurate high ball is important. The group delivering the ball need to concentrate on this. If they find it difficult at first, then reduce the distance between the 2 lines to make it easier. Watch out for errors. Remember to protect the catching hand with the hurley. Remind the players to get in line with the flight of the ball. Also, encourage the girls to reach for the ball. Don't just let it drop into a bent arm. And watching the ball until it actually arrives in the hand is essential. Failure to do this will result in the ball being dropped. To demonstrate blocking the ground slitter, our player starts in the ready position. She then moves into the path of the oncoming slitter and slides the weaker hand down the hurley for greater control. As the slitter arrives, the feet should be kept close together behind the hurley. The grip should now be relaxed and the boss angled towards the ground to minimise rebound. The best way to gain possession of the high ball is to catch it. However, some players may be uncomfortable with this, or may be marked by an opponent who is a better catcher. In these cases, some players prefer to use their hurleys to control or block the ball in the air. To block an air ball, it's important that the player is in line with the oncoming slitter. As it arrives, the hurley is extended overhead. The dominant hand is in the grip and the weaker hand supports the middle of the hurley. Remember to keep the eyes on the slitter at all times and have the thumbs facing upwards along the handle. On impact, the grip is relaxed to deaden the slitter, allowing it to drop to the ground. A more advanced version of blocking the ball is to stop and control it with one hand on the hurley, thereby deflecting it into the other hand. Instead of bringing an aerial ball under control by blocking or catching, a player may decide to use the batting technique. This way the ball can be passed to a teammate, or back down the field, or into a position to allow the playing of a better shot. The batting technique is similar to blocking, with some minor exceptions at the point of impact. As before, it's important to get in line with the flight of the ball. The grip changes from the ready to the lock position. The stick is then brought back overhead and quickly forward to bat the ball in the required direction. You can use this drill setup to practice any of the aerial skills. We have a line of strikers on one side, and on the other, each striker is assigned 2 or 3 players to collect and feed the slitter.
Okay, can you hold it there a moment? Alright, now it's very important when you are batting not to bring your hurley behind the head and continue and follow down onto the ground. Instead, try and control the hurley more, in that you bring it over the head and forward, but hold it then in the upright position. Don't come from behind and slapping it down all the way to the ground. So let's see you do that. Okay, much better. And another one. That's it. Well done. Good. Keep that up now. Okay, can we hold it there a moment? Right. Your actual batting technique is good, but where you're falling down is your grip. It appears that when the ball is coming, that because you're not holding your hurley tight enough, that it's actually swiveling in your hand, and therefore when you do bat, that you're sending the ball off in different directions. What I need you to do is be more aware of tightening your grip as you connect with the ball and send it in the direction that you want it to go. So just try that for me now. Good, much better, much more direct. And again, well done. That's it. Just always remember, keep a nice tight grip on your hurley. Well done. And again, just remember your direction. All right, just one moment there. Hold on to that. Well, thanks. Okay, the problem here is your stance. You're actually batting to the left and to the right of yourself. Now, although you would use that in an emergency, when actually practicing this technique, it's important that you get your body behind the flight of the ball so that you have more control and more power in your shot. So I'd like to see you maneuvering yourself into the flight of the ball as it's coming toward you. So we'll just see now. That's it, moving under it. Well done. Much better, and you'll notice you're much stronger as a result. Well done. And again, that's it.
Tackling is a fundamental skill which all camogie players must acquire. They also need to be constantly reminded and coached on how best to protect themselves in these situations. Injury can be eliminated if players position themselves with protection in mind when making a tackle. Before any player attempts tackling skills, they must be shown and allowed to practice the safety measures needed to protect them while on the field of play. In a clash situation, for example, the risk of injury is reduced if players use the following tips. Both players should be positioned shoulder to shoulder with no spaces between them. The players must be inside the arc of the swing. When swinging, the inside foot must be closest to the ball. The players then swing their hurleys towards the ball.
We've just seen the clash being executed and set up the grid here. In fact, this grid is very useful when practicing all of the tackling drills. But before we continue, I'd just like to highlight some of the problems that you come across. In particular, finding that players stand too far apart when clashing. It's very important that you emphasize that they get in close, shoulder to shoulder, before clashing. And this ensures that they won't get struck by a hurley.
Another common problem we find is the positioning of the feet. It is most important that people have their feet positioned correctly. This is the incorrect position. This prevents a good balanced swing occurring. It's most important then that the inside leg is closest to the ball and the outside leg is a step behind. This ensures then that we have a nice balanced swing.
All right. Okay then, girls, let's go.
As a starting point, the players will find it easier if the coach holds a hurley on the ground between each pair as they approach.
If I could just stop you there, please, girls. We have noticed that whenever these two girls are striking, they are too far apart. This prevents then that both players are going to get an injury. So it's important then that the two girls come closest together. So let's see you go and do it again. That's much better. Just do it again first, please. Off you go. Good, that's well done.
Incorrect positioning of the feet is also a common problem.
Okay, can we just stop it here? What we've noticed about these two girls is that they both have their outside leg positioned incorrectly. If the outside leg is nearest the ball, this then means that both girls have an off-balance swing. So both girls need to have their inside leg positioned near the ball and their outside leg a step behind. So let's see, girls, you doing that. That's better, well done. Just let's do it again. Good girls, well done.
As players improve, you can make the practice session a little more difficult.
Okay girls, that went well. Now what we're going to do here is Mary's going to line out the slitters for us. I want you to continue coming forward as you were, clashing, remembering to keep your shoulders in close together, and of course remembering your feet position. So we'll try that now.
Armed with the appropriate safety knowledge, the players are now ready to learn how to gain possession in a similar 50-50 ball situation. One way of increasing the chances of winning possession is to use a short, fast swing. Both players have an equal opportunity to play the slitter. The player on the left uses her normal swing. The player on the right uses a shortened, fast swing. This results in her hurley reaching the slitter first. The block down can be used to good effect all over the pitch. When an opponent is striking from the hand, the block down is the most effective way of dispossessing her. Player safety is an important factor when playing the block down. The tackler must keep her eyes on the slitter and her head below the path of the swing. She then attempts to sandwich the slitter between the two hurleys. The tackler firmly grips the hurley with both hands. She then places the boss of her hurley where she expects her opponent to make contact with the slitter. As she swings, the tackler steps forward, bending her leading leg. Her opponent's hurley is then blocked, allowing the tackler to take possession. Let's take another look at that. The tackler must keep her eyes on the slitter and her head below the path of the swing. She then attempts to sandwich the slitter between the two hurleys. The tackler firmly grips the hurley with both hands. She then places the boss of her hurley where she expects her opponent to make contact with the slitter. As she swings, the tackler steps forward, bending her leading leg. Her opponent's hurley is then blocked, allowing the tackler to take possession.
Looks easy, doesn't it? But this is a skill that needs a lot of practice if you're to gain confidence at executing it. Now myself and Mary will go through a few of the common problems that you're going to meet on the field. Firstly, we'll take a look at Mary's grip. Now as we see here, Mary's hands are too far apart, and as a result she will more than likely come across an injury. So it's important for her to bring her hands down low, keep them down low on the hurley, and of course the thumbs pointing up. Very good. The next one we should take a look at is her stance. Now here Mary is standing much too upright, and as a result will have to come in too close to the ball, again endangering herself. So it's important for her to take a large step forward and get down low. Again, always make sure that the head is at a lower level than the boss of the hurley, further ensuring your safety. The next one we take a look at is your eye contact. Here we see Mary with her head down. Of course now she has no idea of where the ball is or the opponent. So it's very important for Mary to keep her eyes on the ball at all times. So looking forward, knowing what's going on. All right, very good. Now the final one we're going to look at is the positioning of the hurley. Here we're going to see Mary coming in and chopping down with the hurley. Now this of course is going to have greater risk of injury for her. It's very important instead for her to come in and hold the hurley, at all times protecting herself. Okay, thank you Mary. Now Mary is going to throw up an imaginary ball, and I want you girls coming in and blocking her down.
We're going to look at some common errors now. A regular one is incorrect positioning of the hands.
Okay, can you hold it? Just hold it right there. Again, straight away, take a look at your hands. Try and get those hands down lower on the hurley, okay? Go. Okay, much better. Go. Okay, hold it there. Now what happened there is you actually made contact with the handle of the hurley almost. You're supposed to be trying to aim for the boss. You want to sandwich the ball between the two hurleys. So can you try it again, keeping your eyes open, and I want you coming down and connecting with the boss. So can you try that for me? Go. Okay, a little bit better, that's it. Go. Okay, hold it there. Just can you do that for me again? What you're actually doing is you're coming in and you're actually chopping down on her hurley. So instead what I want you to do is come in and reach in and hold. You're actually coming in and chopping through. So can you try that for me? Okay, go. Okay, a bit better, well done. Go.
When a player is a few metres behind her opponent and a tackle from the front is not possible, then the hook tackle is the most suitable option. When a player intends to strike to the left, the tackler should be about a metre behind her opponent's right shoulder. As the striker prepares to swing, the tackler lifts her hurley using one hand to the height of her opponent's. The striker's hurley is deflected upwards and misses the slitter. The tackler then follows through and takes possession. We'll look at that once more. When a player intends to strike to the left, the tackler should be about a metre behind her opponent's right shoulder. As the striker prepares to swing, the tackler lifts her hurley using one hand to the height of her opponent's. The striker's hurley is deflected upwards and misses the slitter. The tackler then follows through and takes possession.
Okay girls, before we begin the drill on hooking, we'd just like to remind you of the safety aspects involved. Firstly, it's very important for you to remain a safe distance behind your opponent, so that you're reaching in carefully with your head up, watching what's going on. Plunge in with your right hand on the hurley and right leg ahead. Again, ensuring that you're a safe distance behind their swing. So if you'll just watch there as Mary swings on the ball, reaching in, you're completely safe. So keep that distance between yourself and your opponent, and you're in no danger of being injured. So we'll try that drill out now. So can you go back into your positions in pairs for me, please? Okay, girls, can you make sure that you can see Mary and I demonstrating the drill to you? Okay. Right, first pair out.
It's important for free takers to develop good technique, and this is where regular practice is important. Different styles can be used when taking frees, and initially players should experiment to find a style which produces consistent results for them. Players can opt to use the roll or jab lift, depending on personal preference or ground conditions. When taking a free, the feet and shoulders must be in line with the target. Next, bend the knees and back to ensure the ball is lifted successfully. Toss the ball forward towards the target. Keeping the eyes on the ball, Make the strike at about knee height, remembering to follow through. The player's head and shoulders should not rotate until the ball has left the hurley. The main objective when taking a sideline stroke is to retain possession of the slitter. The taker attempts to find a free player or to place the slitter in a space for a teammate to run onto. Everyone has their own individual style when it comes to taking sideline balls. However, young players will find some of the following points useful to remember. First, step towards the ball. Swing the hurley and raise the wrist slightly higher than normal. You'll find this gives more height to the shot. Aim to strike at about an inch behind the ball. When striking, remember to keep the boss of the hurley angled upwards on impact. At the point of impact, the player's shoulders should be as close to the ground as possible, and in doing this, the leading leg should also be bent. The players will by now have a clear understanding of the key factors of the skills we've covered. They will also have practiced the skills using the various drills we've seen. However, as they improve, it's important that these skills are practiced in game-like conditions. Conditioned and small-sided condition games can be used for this. In a conditioned game, the playing rules of Camogie are deliberately modified or changed to emphasize the practice of particular skills or tactics, or to develop stamina or speed. For example, following a session where striking from the hand has been practiced, a conditioned game could be played where the players must use this skill to release the ball. Conditioned games can also have some or all of these four elements, modified to cater for the time available, the relative ability of the players, the numbers of players taking part, or the tactics being practiced. Small-sided condition games can be particularly effective when used to practice skills, because with the reduced numbers, players have more opportunity to practice under game-like conditions, and they get to play the slitter more often. By appropriately altering the number and composition of players taking part, these games can lead to the development of improved tactical play.
Nicely scooped up by Linda Miller. Available inside is Irene O'Keefe, showing nice touches. This time the Galway defence under pressure. Dropping this in. It's there. It could go anywhere. Sharon Glenn launching another one of these missiles. Bursting her way out is Sinead Costello. On towards Marina Downey and Bridget Mullally. And it falls kindly for Marina Downey from Liz Downey. Nice skill. Bridget Mullally. Lovely stick work. Sinead Mullally. Chasing after her is centre half back Gillian Marr. Great run by Mellerick. Needs support. Lyndon Lee has gone inside. Here's a chance for the number 13. Oh, what a brilliant save, but it deflected into the net. Irene cutting through for another